Hello, what's on my mind today is interlibrary loans between two Koha systems. So for quite a while now, Koha has had an interlibrary loans plugin called the Koha2Koha interlibrary loans plugin, and that's what we're looking at on the screen here. So it's under the Koha community plugins page, and it's called Koha plugin ILL Koha. And the purpose of this is to allow two Koha systems to be able to lend between each other in an interlibrary loans environment. It uses the Z3950 protocol to do the lookup and searching, and it uses the ILS discovery interface, the ILSDI API, to do the interaction between the two Koha systems. So you can download the latest version of the plugin from the releases page and install it on your system. It requires a little bit of setup, which is described on this page here, which essentially involves identifying the Z3950 targets that you want to connect to, so the other systems that you want to connect to. And of course, this could be reciprocal between two Koha systems. It can be installed on both so that the two systems can request between the two of them. So you need to identify the target of where you want to go to. That could be one or more systems. We're very happy to help you with installing that. If you need any help, please log a support ticket for that. But once it's installed, when you try and place an interlibrary loan request through the staff interface and also through the OPAC, if you want to use it there is a new interlibrary loan request option called Koha, which is basically requested against another Koha system. And when we enter the metadata about the request, what it will first do is try and look up in the remote system to see if there is that title available in the remote collection. So here we're searching our demo system, and we're actually searching across to another system that we have in-house. And if I do the search, you can see it's found it on the other system. It's actually found that title based on the title metadata entered. And you can see that I've got this option to request this item. And if I request this on behalf of Alice, you can see that it's now pulled the metadata back into my Koha system. And if we look at the metadata, you could see it's actually added a little bit more metadata than the basic metadata that I entered. It set the status to new. And you can see here, it's actually created a bibliographic record in my local system for this title. So this is ready for me to start issuing it to Alice once it's available. So if I just open this in a separate tab, you can see there is the bibliographic record. So it's pulled the hallmark record in. It's even in the mark record created a metadata field for the interlibrary loan request number. So that means if I was searching for the title and I found it, I could actually see that it had originally been added to the collection as part of an interlibrary loan request. So that's quite useful information in itself. So we'll come back and use that presently, but for now, I want to confirm the request. And what that's going to do is place a reservation on my remote system for this title. So again, this is where a little bit of configuration is required before you start working with this plugin. So on the remote system, I've actually created a borrower, and the borrower represents the user in the remote system that I want to place the reservation on behalf of. So this will be used in just a moment. So what I'm going to do is now confirm this request. And by confirming this request, you can see that the status has been updated. So it's now been updated to requested, and a reservation or hold has been placed on the remote system. So let's just go back across to the remote system And we're going to have a look at, first of all, my borrow record. And you can see there's the reservation that was placed just now on behalf of that user. We'll also find that if we have a look at obviously have a look at the reservation, we can see it's been placed on behalf of me. But if we go to the holds to pool list, which obviously the remote library will be doing on a regular basis, you can see that this reservation for the remote user now appears on my holds to pool list. So that's great. So at this point, I'd probably want to grab that title off the shelf and use the standard holds procedure at this point. So the first thing I would do at this point is to check it in, and that will activate the hold, of course, at this point, and alert me that it's actually available for this user. Okay, and there we've got the reservations be activated. So it's for the remote user, and I'm going to confirm that hold to activate it. And at this point, I'll be ready to check it out to my remote user. So I'm just going to go across and back to my user record. And the hold has now been activated. It's now ready to be checked out. So I'm going to check out this reservation, and then we're going to post it across to the other library. So I'll just grab the barcode, and actually I'm going to specify an alternate due date because as it's interlibrary loan request, I'm probably not expecting it to get it back for quite some time. So I'll give them until the end of March to return it and then just issue it out to that user. So at this point, it's checked out on the user record. I'm putting it in an envelope and I'm posting it back to the other library, ready for them to distribute to the user. So let's go back to our local system, and hopefully at this point we'll have had some notification from the library that that's been posted to me, and I should expect to find it in an envelope in a few days' time. And once I've done that, I can actually issue it out to Alice. Now, what you'll notice is that there's a checkout button that's related to this particular plugin and this particular request type. And you'll also notice that at the moment there are no physical copies of this record because actually we don't hold any because it's an interlibrary loan. But the nice thing about this checkout option is that it allows us to create a copy record, and it's going to use the request number as the barcode so that we've got some kind of identifier in case we want to check it in later on. So I'm going to use this checkout option, and I'm going to specify an item type of interlibrary loans, and it's for the main library. And again, I'm going to give it a due date. Well, we know it's due back 31st of March to the other library, so we better let's give them to mid-March for this. Now, the other option we've got here is if we don't actually want to check it out to the user, but instead we rather just want to record usage of that, we can identify a statistical patron. So we could perhaps create a statistical patron called interlibrary loan, and we could issue it against that. And it wouldn't actually be issued out to them, but it would be recorded as an in-house use. So we could at least use that statistic. So you've got a choice here whether to actually perform the issue or just record the statistic. But I'm going to issue it out to the user here. So let's just do that. And there it's been issued. Let's just return back to the request. Let's just have a look at the request log, and you can see it's been updated from requested to checked out. So Alice has now got use of that particular item, and I'm going to go back here and just refresh this screen, because you can see here that this has now been given a barcode of ILL 126, and I'm just going to take that barcode, and what we're going to do is just check it back in again. So let's just go to a check-in and just return that. And that's now been returned. And hopefully at this point, I can send it back to the remote library. And at this point, they can also return it in the library as well. So on behalf of the library user. So let's just check that in finally. And that's been returned, and it's off my record now. So that's the end-to-end process of how that works. It's a very sort of smooth workflow, and it's great because it does a lot of the donkey work of placing holes and doing the checkouts and creating the bibliographic records for you. So it's a very useful plugin. And if you're interested in using it, please do let us know. Speak to you next time.